It's Trev Retro with Monday Night Mayhem, and with me tonight, Internet Help Desk, or Hee Man. Hello.
Good evening, Trev. Good evening, chat. And good evening, everyone who catches it on the re-rub.
Yeah, good evening, chat. What's with the picture? Have you gone full Hee Man?
It's just, I like a bit of a change, and man, just, I may change it a bit later on, depending on how the chat goes.
I like it. And also with us tonight, a female. There's a lady in the room, so take your hats off, gentlemen. The one, the only, Vex Electronica. Hello, Vex.
Oh, hello. Thank you so much for having me here tonight.
You're more than welcome. What's with the avatar? You look you look tasty.
You know what? I just wanted in a world where all of the women are just looking like a bunch of fat dykes. I wanted you guys to look at something that was, sensual and delicious and ignited a deep hunger in you. And what better thing than a beef sandwich that might look like beef curtains?
Very nice drapes indeed. And on that note, our next guest this evening, our very own Scottish import, not B. Ryan. Did I say that right, Brian?
Wait, not Brian is. Good evening, chat. Evening, Trev. How are we all?
All right.
Very good.
Grand.
Greetings, chat, as well. Quite a few of you in there. Our Z3POs, Gavin Blackburn as well, Flav, and the Wayfarer Project. Everybody else, hello as well. We'll give you mentions and shout-outs as we go along this evening. Internet Help Desk, what have you been up to pop culture-wise this week?
Pop culture-wise, very little. I've had a bit of trouble over the weekend where my boiler decided to stop working because it was so cold it froze the outpipe. So
everybody's having plumbing trouble. Gamers having plumbing trouble as well.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Is that a big leak? So I hope you've got that sorted, gamer. What about you, Vex? What have you been up to pop culture-wise in the last week?
I started watching American Primeval, that new series on Netflix. Very good 2 episodes in so far. It doesn't hold back on showing how grotesque Native Americans were way back when. And other than, I've just been doing a lot of research for my Nosferatu videos. So I am just fully immersed in everything Nosferatu, and I've started rereading Dracula for my research as well.
Good. It's not just a pain in the neck after all, then, is it?
Oh, no, it's quite sensual in many parts of my body, actually.
Especially, well, I'm not going to say anything about your tasty morsel. Moving swiftly on. Brian, what have you been up to pop culture-wise over the last 7 days?
Well, I've been mainly soccering it this weekend, but I did watch one of Vex's guilty pleasures that's coming up, but I do not wish to spoil it by saying which one.
Yes, I've been watching quite a bit of Vex myself over the last few days.
I was wondering what that light in the yard was at night.
Well, as a former Canadian myself, you never know what might happen. So tonight, that wasn't me trumping, by the way. That was me just smacking my hands together. Tonight, I thought we'd explore guilty pleasures, guilty pop culture pleasures. So let's see if this works. So bear with me, everyone. Whose is this one?
That would be me. Okay, so let me explain. Now, the first 2 Batman movies, very good. I did like them, quite dark. Now, as I was a younger kid, I remember the Adam West Batman more fondly. It was more bright, colorful, and crazy. So when Batman Forever came out, again, it was sort of like those neon times. It was quite bright. It was quite vibrant. Now, I look back on it, I do fondly remember it. It's also one of those movies where you can get a load of friends and just sit down, drink far too much, and laugh at how terrible it actually is.
So bad it's good.
Yeah, you've got Jim Carrey just being Jim Carrey. You've got, you've got Tommy Lee Jones chewing up every piece of scenery possible. Val Kilmer is an incredibly bad Batman.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We've got the bat nipples. We've got the car looks like a vibrator. It was just tell me I'm wrong.
You're not. No, not at all. I think but these are
Exactly.
all things that make it so enjoyable.
And you
In all
can
honesty.
and you can tell that his cowl is rock solid. He can't turn his head. He has to pivot his entire body round. It looks so ridiculous.
Is he stiff?
Oh, in which way?
Well, I mean, look at the ears.
Well, he's
Anyway,
certainly cracked up.
As far as a guilty pleasure goes, this is one of mine. In a toss-up between this and Batman and Robin, this edges it.
You know what?
'cause if I want to do more edging, there is Alicia Silverstone dressed in leather. But I mean, other than that, Batman Forever does beat it.
And not only that, Uma Thurman looked delicious in Batman and Robin.
she
Batman
really
and Robin is one of my guilty pleasure. I think that's still unironically, I think that's the best Batman movie. Sue me.
Chill out. I like Mr. Freeze.
The ice puns from Mr. Freeze were
Beautiful.
absolutely amazing.
Cool it. Did anybody hear the story about Jim Carrey while they were producing Batman Forever? Jim
No.
Carrey goes out for a meal in this fancy restaurant. Waiter says to Jim Carrey, "Oh, one of your mates is in here, Tommy Lee Jones." So Jim, being Jim, walks up and goes, "Hi, Tommy." And apparently Tommy Lee Jones starts vibrating in rather a dodgy manner, like he's building up for a detonation. And Jim Carrey sits next to him, and Tommy grabs him by the scruff of his neck, and he goes, "I absolutely hate you." he says, "I can't sanction your buffoonery." And Jim Carrey's like, what do I do here? Like, and it was quite funny. He didn't elaborate any further than that. But the fact is that Tommy Lee Jones obviously did it for the cash, but could not stand Jim Carrey at all. He hated him so deeply. It was untrue.
It's also nice to see Tommy Lee Jones in what is effectively a comedic role, because everything he does is always so serious. So to see
Until
him in
Men in
something-
Black, yeah.
yeah.
Are you dropping a
Batman
Batman pun there, help desk?
Am I?
You just said, "Why so serious?"
Oh dear God, I did, didn't I?
Yeah.
Why so serious?
Brian, you're particularly quiet about Batman Forever. Any opinions on the nipples and the stiffness?
I loved the first movie, the first Batman with Nicholson, and I think you've had my opinions about this. It's almost like starting off on heroin and working your way back to pot. The further these go on, I didn't particularly like this film. The soundtrack wasn't too bad, but I read Kilmer's autobiography, and he talks about wanting to show this film to his kids, and he didn't have a copy, so he had to rent it from the local video store to show his kids. Pay for it, put it in the recorder, and within 10 minutes, his kids had disappeared. Didn't want to watch it.
That speaks volumes, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, not one of my favourites. Although I'm a very big fan of Kilmer, but I try and forget about this one. I think Joel Schumacher did a quite simply awful job directing this film.
Do you think this was just an immense cash grab for all involved?
Probably, yeah.
Yes. It was supposed to be later, wasn't it? But I think he went a little bit too
In the grand scheme of Batman, this film should not exist. There's no purpose for it whatsoever.
No, should have stopped after the second one. Really should.
Agreed. But I mean, without these, two shitty films, because there was this one and then Batman and Robin, we wouldn't have gotten Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins if they weren't in such dire straits, which I'd say what you will about the other two films in that trilogy, but I do think Batman Begins is a genuinely good starting point for a superhero franchise. I think that's a good film.
I know this might be a controversial view, but for me personally, you can't beat Michael Keaton as Batman. I just thought that was a career-defining moment for him. A lot of people slated him at the time, and they said Tim Burton was making a huge mistake. Obviously, he'd only brought him in because he'd worked on him before with Beetlejuice and whatnot. But I thought it was absolutely fantastic in the role.
No, I'm gonna agree with you because he manages to balance Batman and Bruce Wayne very well. Where all of the other ones, it was always one or the other that they do well. So I'm in agreement with you.
And I think Val Kilmer was far too campy in the role of Batman.
Yeah.
Some of the best scenes in this film, some of the best scene performance that Kilmer did in this film was left on the cutting room floor. If you search YouTube for it, you'll find them and you see that it was maybe a slightly more serious tone that he was hoping to do, and then ended up getting caught up with the carnival that is Joe Schumacher's direction.
Interesting.
It is a bit of a mess in places as well, this film. I mean, the pacing is just ridiculous. I mean, it starts off fast and it gets faster, and then it just starts getting more and more incredulous as the film goes along.
Yeah.
It is. It's like they tried to recreate James Cameron's roller coaster effect with Aliens. But it's like the guy at the controls fell asleep at the wheel, if you know what I mean, and it just started going faster and faster. It's chaotic. There's too much going off. It's like ADHD on ADHD with autism. It is just, for somebody like me who's higher functioning autistic and ADHD, it does not sit well with me. I can't. It's like I've put my head in a tumble dryer.
Can I just also add that I don't know what the script writers were taking at the time, but the riddles were just awful.
Yeah, that was shit.
At least back in sort of like the Adam West era, there was sort of like something interesting that some could be difficult and some could be a little bit more confusing. In this, they were just bad, and it took so long for them to figure out the easy answers. It sucked. So yeah. Anyway,
I thought it was good. I thought it was good, and to be honest, it is a good guilty pleasure.
Yeah,
agreed.
Any more thoughts, Brian, before we move on to our next one?
No, other than it's the first movie I remember watching Nicole Kidman and thinking she's actually rather attractive. Before then, and she doesn't even make the poster here. The other thing notable mentioned is poor Billy D. Williams being shafted here, and not only not on the poster but not in the film when he was in the first movie.
Definitely, I definitely agree on that. Yeah, so Help Desk, that is a very good guilty pleasure. Let's see what your other guilty pleasure is, shall we? Oh, wow, how can this be a guilty pleasure? This is a phenomenal film. Airplane 2, the sequel.
It is. Again, we're talking about a run of films here. Now, I couldn't think of a second guilty pleasure, because it's very difficult to come up with ones that you sort of like that aren't particularly, in front of everybody. But no, I was talking to a good friend of mine, Rob. Hi, Rob. I know you're in the chat somewhere. And he just mentioned this. It's sort of like, yes. Because when you follow the line of the Leslie Nielsen movies, and you've got what was it, Police Squad, Naked Gun, Spy Hard, Airplane, all of them. Dracula Dead and Love in it, a very good Dracula movie there, and Airplane 2. Airplane 2 was the weakest of all of the movies, and yet it has so many good jokes. It is a laugh from the beginning to the end. It is not as good as the first Airplane. But it is such a good movie to sit and watch. William Shatner is just bloody brilliant, and it features the most important machine in the universe, which is the red glowing tube that doesn't do anything. Yeah, every sci-fi has it. It's the red glowing tube, and they actually make a joke in this one of actually saying it does nothing. But not the point. So yeah, and I will very happily sit and watch it and enjoy it.
Do you know what I love about this film? At the beginning, they're showing those kids round the traffic control bit, and this shuttle, he says, "Oh yeah, you're on autopilot," and they're coming into land, and there's this typical 80s kid, and he looks around, dodgy look, will I get away with this? And he starts mucking about with the controls, and you hear the sound effects for Yar's Revenge off the Atari 2600. And it's like, and then the shuttle stops in midair and it's spinning around like an angle on its nose, and then it just flies off and explodes. And this kid's like, and he just nonchalantly walks off. I just thought, wow, that is fantastic. I love it. And it's such a great film.
It had no business being in space. That was the best bit about it. It was just in space because it was in space.
Mm.
And I noticed that they managed to get a good deal on the soundtrack to Battlestar Galactica, because 90% of the movie's soundtrack was actually the theme tune to Battlestar Galactica.
I will have to go back and listen to the soundtrack again now.
Yeah, when they're heading towards the sun, and it's like da 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 da, it's giving it all that.
God.
And there's some good lines in this. I love the bit where it says Simon's turn to jelly, and it's the guy, and he's actually made from jelly.
Oh, dear. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's part of a classic set of comedy movies. It just happens to be the weakest one of the lot, and yet it is full of so many laughs. It's just fantastic.
Hmm.
Do you know what does me about the poster as well? It's not even relevant to the theme of the movie,
No,
is it?
it really isn't.
I mean, I know they've got a plane in double knots, but
Yeah.
Can I reveal a hot take by
Go on, then.
chance? I have never seen any of the airplane movies.
We must have a watch along.
yeah, that'd be great.
Like, it's not so much that I have I've seen clips, and it's not that I have an aversion to Leslie Nielsen. I like him a lot. Like, I like the Naked Gun movies. But I just never got around to watching these in full. I'm not like, comedy isn't a go-to for me.
I have just realized we missed out on the best thing there. Vex, can you say that thing again where you said that you haven't seen any?
I haven't seen any of the airplane films.
Surely you can't be serious.
Oh,
dear.
Oh,
Yes.
are you here all?
Better late than never. There we go.
Hi, Jenna.
I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. Fantastic. Right, move on.
No,
Let's go.
I haven't done yet, because
Oh,
there's
carry on
still
then.
some good punnages in there. I like the bit where they decide to use Sonny Bono's boom boom device, right? And I can't remember her name now. Go on. Ted's ex. What's her name?
Couldn't answer it for you.
Oh, you know what I mean, don't you? She's now the
Yes.
stewardess on the shuttle.
That's all right.
And she says, I'm going to have to blow the computer. And she says, blow rock. And the computer comes up with a big smile. And then when he goes in with the suitcase, the music's like, "Duh," and it's getting more and more intense. And then Robert Hayes turns and looks over his left shoulder, looks at the camera, and it stops. And he does a series of fourth wall breaks where he's looking at the camera so the music stops. And I just thought that was just so funny.
Absolutely. It was well acted, it was well directed, and it's got Leslie Nielsen, which just makes it amazing, and William Shatner.
Yeah,
Again,
Lance
during the series.
Murdoch. And I love that bit on the moon where he's looking through that periscope and he sees the Enterprise.
Yes. And the bit where they're bringing it down to land and he's just talking ridiculously into the mic, and then they crash and he's still talking into the mic, and they've all wandered off and he's still talking into the mic. It's if you haven't seen Airplane 2, go and watch it.
But that scene is derivative of Robert Stack's character, because he does pretty much the same thing in Airplane, the first one.
Yeah.
And
Robert Stack, who was he famous for voicing?
Ultra Magnus.
Yay!
Ooh, very cool.
There we go. I can pretty much tell you all the big names in Transformers, the movie, the original one. Go on, try me.
No.
I didn't mean it like that, help desk.
Wreck-Gar.
Wreck-Gar, Eric Idle.
Yay! Well done.
We talk TV. You talk some TV. Bar weep, grana weep, ninny bong. If you remember that one.
I do remember. That was the very line that was going through my head, Trev.
Really? That's a universal greeting.
Yes.
I like that.
This could go on a tangent for the next hour and a half on Transformers.
I'll start doing my really bad Megatron impressions in a moment.
Why throw away your life so recklessly?
That's a question you should ask yourself. Oh, I love that film, and I just we've gone off on a tangent. Moving on. Whose movie is this then? Oh, my goodness. Who could this be?
Oh,
Take a wild guess. I think it's Brian's, in all honesty.
Brian,
oh,
Brian, why is this your guilty pleasure, mate?
Don't show. Not allowed to show this film in Scotland. It's too camp.
This is one of my guilty pleasures. Fortunately, I don't know. I like the premise of this, and I'm sometimes a sucker for romance movies. Okay.
So why is it a guilty pleasure? What is it about the film?
Okay.
Go on, explain it to me.
Okay. So for people that have not watched it, so basically Sandra Bullock is this doctor, and she moves into this nice like glass house on a lakefront in like upstate New York or something like that. I can't remember. And she has a mailbox, and she just like is checking it one day, and she puts a letter in there. And then she finds out that it's actually a mailbox that can send letters to and from the past. So she ends up connecting with Keanu Reeves, who used to live in that same house she bought several years prior.
Whoa.
And by writing letters to each other, they get to know each other, and they end up falling in love. And it's basically just a tale of like, sometimes you got to just wait for the right one, and you shouldn't settle, because like, he's in a relationship he's not quite sure about. She's in a relationship where she's clearly settled, and it's just, like hearts have, bonded across time. It was very sweet. Okay, I liked it.
That's an interesting premise. It's a cross between You've Got Mail and the movie Frequency.
I've literally just written that down. Jim Caviezel time travel.
I know, with Dennis Quaid. I mean, Jim Caviezel, wow. What an actor. I mean, if you've seen Person of Interest, he's blackballed again, obviously, in Hollywood now, because of that recent movie he was in, which I thought was very good. Anyway, moving on. The Lake House is a film that I've never even seen.
Really?
I like the premise. You've made it sound appealing. But, Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock, sounds a good combo, to be fair.
They have a good chemistry together, right? After that Speed movie. So it's nice to see them. But it's not over the top romance too. Like, it's very like, it's subtle and you can relate to it, and it's not dumb like The Notebook. That's all. I don't like The Notebook.
Well, I was going to say, is there a letter there dated 1994 that says you weren't on a bus at around about 94, were you?
No Speed jokes.
Oh dear, I don't have to say it now. MC spoiled it for me. Thanks, MC.
Hold on, but it doesn't ruin the film. Just there's stuff that happens. Okay, it's still worth it, in my opinion.
I'm pressing the wrong things here. Hang on a minute. Here's a movie that's not to be sniffed at. Speed 3.
I mean, you could say that the instance in which Keanu gets hit by a truck is like a soft part of maybe a canceled Speed 3 movie. There you go. A teaser.
Interesting. And it's typical this. Is Bullock hot in this?
Not a fan of the haircut, but she does otherwise look hot in this. Yes.
It is very Brie Larson, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, she's got a very like sharp face. So like when she gets these shorter haircuts with like this, it just doesn't make her look like a woman anymore. But there's a flashback where she has like long hair, and it's kind of like almost like schoolgirlish. It's very cute on her.
Do you know, all I see when I look at Sandra Bullock is Melina Huxley.
Hold on, let me look up a picture of her.
You know, when she was in Demolition Man, that's all I see is that character. In every movie she's been in, that's all I see. I'm just wondering if she's got joy, happy feelings.
I see it. Okay.
So anybody else got anything to say about The Lake House?
No.
Okay,
the kind
fine.
Of film
It's the kind of film. I'm sorry, Vex, but this just screams chick flick to me.
It is a chick flick. I'm not going to deny that. It totally is.
Oh my God.
This technically.
Oh my goodness. Rob Schneider is the hot chick. Who's picked this one, I wonder? Any takers? Brian, is this one yours?
No, but this is the one that I watched today just for the sake of this stream.
And
Really?
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Honestly, for a long time I've laughed so much at a comedy. I thought I'd already seen all of Rob Schneider's movies, but clearly this is one that went under the radar. But take it away, Vex.
Okay, so essentially, what Rachel McAdams is in this movie, actually. So she's like this very popular, smart, like sweetheart type high school girl, and it's coming up to prom. This movie was in 2001 or 2002, Wayfarer. And she goes to the mall with her girlfriends, and she finds these earrings that she really likes that she think will go with her, prom dress or whatever. And it turns out they're these enchanted earrings from some tribe or whatever in Africa or something. So she while they're driving around, they go put gas at the gas station, and they're just kind of being girly girls, very stereotypical. And she decides to put one of the earrings on, but forgets to put on the other, and it gets lost at the gas station. And Rob Schneider's character is this low life, petty robber. So as he's coming out of the gas station, he finds the earring and thinks it's worth something. So later that night, she still has the earring on and she forgot about it. He decides to put it on for fun, and they end up switching bodies. So Rachel McAdams becomes the deadbeat thief and thug, and then Rob Schneider becomes her. And you see the movie mostly from Rob Schneider's perspective, where he's basically a high school girl in a middle-aged man's
I'm
body.
so glad you've explained it, because all I had going through my head was What Women Want with Mel Gibson, that kind of a twist. Thank God.
No, not that. This movie is very it takes a lot of digs that you wouldn't see in comedy these days, and it's a very stupid premise. It's not particularly well acted, but it's funny. You'll have a lot of fun watching this. As Brian,
That's pretty much every Rob Schneider film, though, isn't it?
I would say this is maybe his best film.
What, better
in
than
my
Deuce
opinion.
Bigelow?
This is better than Deuce Bigelow,
Bloody
in my
hell.
opinion.
That's saying something. Anybody else got any thoughts on the hot chick? I've not seen it.
The Adam Sandler cameo was pretty funny all the way through it.
Yep.
There's one joke in this that landed a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, and I nearly ended up on the floor. It's when she phones up the boyfriend to say, I should have made love to you when I had the chance. And the guy thinks it's his priest.
Father Tom? There's just a lot of jokes in here that work. There's fat chick jokes, there's dating black guys jokes, there's black culture jokes, there's Asian jokes. It's not afraid
Everyone gets it
to cross
everyone. I think that probably makes it funnier now as well, the fact that there's so many targets, but it's all done in good nature. It's not nasty at all,
malicious or anything. Yeah. I really enjoy this film. I would happily rewatch it today if I could, in all honesty.
Some of us did.
I think this is worth the time. This is more worth the time than the Lake.
Do you know, I think Rob Schneider hit his perfect niche. It's sort of like borderline fart jokes, toilet humor, and that kind of shtick. But it's worked out really well for him. His films are crap, but they're fun.
Yeah, you don't necessarily regret watching them when you're done. I did take a scene from this movie and actually parodied it for my Predator video because of the whole Badlands thing that's coming out about two sisters. So I took a scene from this, and that's in that video.
As stretches go, that's quite a connection you've made there.
I put a Yautja head on I think it was Rob Schneider's character, and then I put the prey chick, and was it Dakota Fanning, Elle Fanning, because she's in the Badlands movie. I put their heads on the two girlfriends, and they're just they're just talking about how it's hard to be a predator, essentially.
Do you know, I think people listening to this, if Hollywood's listening, they could mine you for at least a couple of films for the franchise.
Oh, for sure. I have plenty plenty of ideas.
Get them
Plenty of
written
ideas. Hit me
down,
up, Hollywood.
put them all on paper, put some dates on them, and then when you see them in online to watch, you can sue Netflix or somebody else like that. Help desk, you've been
Noted.
notably quiet during this particular film. I'm guessing you've not seen it, or if you've seen it, you don't want to admit that you've seen it.
I have partly seen it, I will admit, not all the way through, because I think the last time I saw it, other more important things were happening. Rob Schneider, for me, has always been one of those, you either like him or you don't like him. For me, he's in the same vein as Adam Sandler. So it's sort of like some comedy good, some comedy not so good. I mean, Adam Sandler's worse. But
they're all the drainage from SNL. When they leave SNL, because if you notice, they all work together. Like Sandler has Rob Schneider and David Spade and Kevin James, and he's got his little entourage, hasn't he, as former SNL people. And it's just one of those post SNL movies, isn't it? If you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, SNL has produced some fantastic people, you know, in the past, and it's how we ended up with such great things like, was it Ghostbusters and Animal House?
Oh yeah, I agree.
All that sort of stuff. And then this was sort of like the group after, and it was just, for a lot of it, I just don't find Rob Schneider funny. I will say though that
he's not.
The script did a lot of lifting, a lot of the heavy lifting, and so yeah, I did like what I saw of it, but unfortunately, I had to, you know, vacate the television.
Yeah, the last time I saw a Rob Schneider movie, it was Big Stan, and I thought that was pretty fun, to be truthful. And I killed it. Anyway, somebody's got to do it, and I'll take that challenge. But like I was saying about SNL people, do you know who's really surprised me in the acting department? Andy Samberg.
I agree with you, actually. I'm never really disappointed. Like, I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine a lot. I liked that what was that mockumentary thing he did where he was a singer?
Oh yeah, I know which one you mean now, but I can't remember the name.
Yeah. It was funny though. Like I actually liked the songs because they were perfect parodies of everything that was on the radio.
Do you know what put me off Andy Samberg was the Hot Rod movie, if you ever saw that. That is just, it's so painful to watch.
I've never understood why that movie is so beloved. Like, there's, aside from the Cool Beans scene, that's the only thing I find interesting.
It's hard. It's like you feel embarrassed for him at certain points of the film. It's like, okay, you know, let's watch Battle Beyond the Stars. It's better. And that's saying something. Right, next film. Let's see whose this belongs to. The Saint.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I've never seen this. I've never heard of this.
It's not me, so it's got to be you, Brian.
It is indeed. Can I just say that the two films, I did a bit of research afterwards, the two films that I picked, and both of them, the lead actors get nominations for Razzies. so that's where we are. That's where we are with these things. I think with most of the kind of guilty pleasure movies, you kind of make up your mind, you know, if they're good or bad when you're much younger and a lot less critical. But I think rewatching it years later, you really can see their flaws, and you know, you can maybe still enjoy them. So this one is definitely mine. The plot, very briefly, is Simon Templar falls foul of the Russians while stealing microchips and cold fusion technology. So that's where excuse me. So that's where we are with the ridiculousness of the plot. I think. Good bits. I'll go for the good bits first, very briefly. Graham Revell's soundtrack is just fantastic. The soundtrack itself is even better. You've got music in there from Orbital, Sneaker Pimps, Duran Duran, Moby, Fluke, the Chemical Brothers with Noel Gallagher, Daft Punk, and even David Bowie is in there.
It's so late 90s.
It is.
It really is.
It's very much a product of the 90s, especially in the music sense. I think with this film, Kilmer, if you're a Kilmer fan, you probably will like this film. It depends how much you can ignore the kind of nonsensical plot and some of the plot armor that goes on. It can be really quite off-putting. But Kilmer has an absolute.
Sorry, what is this film? What is this film about exactly?
The 60s TV show character, the Saint, played by Roger Moore, and this was a kind of modern day reboot, if you like, that was supposed to branch out into several films, but didn't happen. Kilmer actually didn't do the 4th Batman film and decided to do this instead because it allowed him to make a lot of kind of characters. He was more of a character actor. He had the kind of leading man looks, but he was very much a character actor, and this film is going to give him the springboard to be able to do that. But I think he had a lot of fun, and Kilmer fans will have a lot of fun watching it. He kind of needed someone to rein him back in slightly, so that kind of adds to the kind of ridiculous. But one other positive, briefly, is Randy Serbeja, who, if you remember from Batman Begins, the guy, it's a nice coat, takes the jacket from Bruce Wayne, 2005. He's the he's the antagonist in this, and he does a really good job with what he's given.
Can I just be rude for a second, guys? Do you know, Brian, when you were explaining the Saint to Vex, do you know what I got going through my head?
Oh no!
Alan Partridge sat in his car listening to the theme to the new Saint. He's got the gloves on. And do you know the scene I'm on about? Because I just thought that was just absolute gold.
Okay, I have a follow-up question because you still haven't quite explained. Okay, who is the Saint?
Simon Templar.
I've never watched the show.
International spy / thief. He's an independent contractor, as the script says.
Okay.
And he quite likes tuppence as well.
He does. He certainly does.
The original, if I remember rightly, the original was just literally he was effectively a man of mystery. He just went around and did espionage and stealing things for whoever paid him, and he ended up saving lots of people if they needed saving. Whereas Val Kilmer didn't. It was more kind of. I don't recall Roger Moore sticking on a wig and fake teeth and then pretending to talk with a German accent. The price is $1 million.
Yeah.
Bruno Altenfalst.
Let me go and talk to my boss, and talks to a random woman sitting in a corner. She says she will do it for you.
I hate to say it, but I love that scene. I think it's really funny.
I do. It's like it serves no purpose, but it's brilliant.
Do you know, I'm getting Spy Hard going through me head. Wasn't Val Kilmer in Spy Hard?
No, Val Kilmer was in Top Secret. Spy Hard was Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, right. Well, what's the film where they're inside the cow?
That's Top Secret.
Top Secret.
Yeah. I love Top Secret.
And the bloke in the back says, hang on a minute, for some reason. If you know that scene at all.
Yes. Let's not be so hasty.
They get trapped in the field with another not cow.
Yeah. We know where this is going. Do you know, I thought, like you said before, it was the epitome of the late 90s. And it's one of those films, unfortunately, where the soundtrack is better than the film itself.
Yes.
Miles better.
Yeah. The only thing I find with Val Kilmer is he's just got this overbearing broodingness about him. And it... Yeah, like brooding. It's like mulling it over and being pensive.
Val Kilmer just always looks like perpetually constipated.
I was going to say he always looks like he's sniffing a fart.
Well, you know, I was just being tactful.
It works.
Why bother?
That's a first for you.
It works very well in the Doors movie as Jim Morrison. He's excellent. That's probably his best role.
Yeah.
In that.
I agree.
Yeah, I think he was good as Doc Holliday.
Yeah, in the what was that Western film?
Tombstone.
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 Yeah, he was good in Tombstone. I would rank that as his other
He
best
made
film.
Michael Biehn cack himself. We'll have to do that one night. We'll have to have a mull over Tombstone because that is.
You mean cack yourself?
No, not tonight, dear.
We're along.
I've only got these pants, and I'm a bit screwed. I'm a big fat man in a very little box, and I don't think cack would suit it well in here. not without ventilation, anyway. But I'll tell you something, Brian. You know, as a flashback, I think it does make a very good guilty pleasure. That is a very good pick. I like that. Oh, now this is a film. Wow, Swordfish. Brian, take us into your guilty pleasure, sir.
Can I opt out of this? I've changed my mind.
Oh, for God's sake.
It's awful.
Have you really changed your mind?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
This is John Travolta this time. I suppose co-star rather than main actor. He received a Razzie nomination for this one. Didn't win, sadly. This film made 147 million on a 102 million budget, but it was one of the films that was pulled because of the incident in September 2001, if you recall. Because of some of the content in it.
Really?
Yeah. So it was taken off, and whether or not that would have affected the grand total, I think it might have made about maybe $20 more had they not pulled it when they did. But this was written by Skip Woods, who also spewed out A Good Day to Die Hard and X-Men Origins Wolverine in 2009.
Ooh. Not a coincidence that it's Hugh Jackman either.
And it was directed by Dominic Sena, who did Gone in 60 Seconds, superior film just the year before. What's good about it peaks very, very soon with John Travolta's monologue at the start, which I really think deserved a far, far better movie to go along with. I think the best thing about it, again, same as the soundtrack in the car. The soundtrack is primarily by Paul Oakenfold, and it
hits.
Yeah.
I still listen to the
It's very
soundtrack,
good.
actually.
It is different class. Can I just say to Sword in the Storm, no, that's not the reason why I picked it.
Hey, did you know Halle Berry's grandmother was actually from the county that I'm in now?
No.
Yeah.
Oh.
Her maternal grandmother is from the south part of Derbyshire in England, in the Midlands. Well done,
Nice.
Granny. That is fantastic work because you've chucked out a very impressive granddaughter. And that photo there, I'm not joking, that would interrupt and corrupt a lot of installs of Windows 95. Do you know what's one of the most laughable scenes in that film?
The computer visuals?
Well, yeah, that as well. But when they give Hugh Jackman's character, I forgot his name now, when they give him his job interview.
Stanley Jobson.
Yeah, that's it. He's going, 30 seconds, Stan. And he's mucking about on DOS whilst a young lady's cleaning his spectacles. Sorry, not spectacles.
Do you remember who's got a gun to his head at that point?
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones, ex-Wimbledon footballer, Vinnie Jones, madman.
That was one of the few things that let that film down.
That bit kind of freaked me out when I saw it. It was just horrible. But what's even more horrible is the bit when they've the kind of censored version without the lady, and it's actually even worse, believe it or not.
Oh, God.
I've seen this movie like a dozen times, and every time I watch it, my brain protects itself by forgetting it completely. I know, like I have vivid memories, like it'll just be on TV and I'll have watched it, and I remember I rewatched it a couple years ago. I, for the life of me, cannot I can't even remember Halle Berry's tits in all honesty, but I love the soundtrack.
I can believe that.
I'm sure if I look him up,
I'm looking at her legs right now. That picture, it does do her justice.
She still looks this good. I don't know if you guys have looked at the photos she posts on Instagram. She looks like exactly like this still, even after having.
I know it's probably been round the clock twice, but I'd still want to go on that.
Yeah, I would want to go on that.
Not Don Cheadle, by the way.
Jeez.
Oh, dear, I can't
Can't
take Don Cheadle seriously. In fact, at one time, there was a bunch of us, and every time we watched a movie and it got Don Cheadle, and we'd go, fucking Don Cheadle. And that became a thing. We even had T-shirts made up with fucking Don Cheadle on it, which was very, very puzzling to most people. But it's the donut scene from, what's it called? The Dirk Diggler movie. Boogie Nights, that's it.
That was on the other night. Yeah, I just watched that, yeah.
Really? It's just that I can't get my head around that. It's like every time I see Don Cheadle, even if he's like his War Machine, it's the fucking donut scene in Boogie Nights. That's all that goes through my head. What was he? It was Buck, wasn't he? Hi-Fi Buck in that movie.
Sound engineer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about the what's and the quadraphonics and the amount of rhubarb he's spouting to people about hi-fi. I just thought that's just so typically like late 70s, early 80s, hi-fi bullshit.
Yeah. It's that scene itself is quite kind of Tarantino-esque, the way it kind of wraps itself up.
Yeah, it does get a bit gets a bit grim there. They're all on like a downward spiral.
Yeah.
And then you've got that scene with Al Molina where they go to that guy's house to rob him with Thomas Jane. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
That is just, it's paranoid, and it just sort of gives you like, I've never taken those kind of drugs, unless you include Benylin. That's about as far as I've gone. But you sort of feel like that druggy paranoia.
Yeah.
That tension in that scene just builds up to really stupidly high proportions.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a great film, though. I love, as a guilty pleasure, I'd say, yeah, definitely Swordfish is up there with the best picks, I think.
Okay.
And you've got to give Brian credit for mentioning Vinnie Jones, because he makes that film, literally.
He does. He makes any film he's in, to be fair.
He was fantastic in X-Men. I've never seen anything better. And it makes you wonder why people change their orientation after working with Vinnie Jones. If you know what I mean. Right, before I get myself in any hot water, let's go for the next one. Oh, this is me. Dollman.
I've never heard of this
movie. You're joking. There is a trailer for it on YouTube, and it's from the company who made it, Blue Moon Productions, I think it is. And the music on the trailer is RoboCop. They use RoboCop's music for the trailer. But basically what it is Tim Thomerson. He's the king of B movies, let's face it. He's been in all those, not Scanners. What is it? Oh, God, what's it called? I'm going to kick myself. If somebody in the chat can tell me.
Reanimator?
No. That's Jeffrey Combs, who's does all the character acting in Star Trek. Because he played Herbert West in that movie. Hey, actually, it's something that we ought to do, Reanimator one night. But Dollman, Trancers, that's it. Thank you, Melvin Deeply. Trancers, he was in the Trancers series of movies. But, if Tim Thomerson's in a movie, it's going to be crap, but sort of good crap, if you know what I mean. Yeah, fun crap. Like Zone Troopers and stuff like that, if you've seen those movies. But basically what happens is Brick Bardo, he's the toughest cop in the universe. And he's got this gun, it's called the Kruger Blaster. And it's the most powerful handgun in the universe. And there's a scene at the beginning where there's this rather rotund kid. And he says to him, "Well, that's a Kruger Blaster, the most powerful handgun in the universe." And he goes, "That's right, fat boy." He starts having a whole monologue with Fat Boy, which is quite funny. And it involves laundry and fat women. And moving swiftly on. So basically, there's this guy who's always trying to kill Brick Bardo. And he's like the antagonist, one of the antagonists of the movies. And Brick Bardo shot that much off him with the Kruger Blaster. He's just a head on a hoverboard frisbee thing. Right?
Interesting.
So anyway, these bad guys, his henchmen, get hold of this Kruger Blaster, but Brick Bardo's got an implant in his hand. And it automatically retrieves his gun and he starts shooting people. And he shoots one guy who's still got his cigarette in his mouth and he's just like a pile of intestines. And he goes, "What do you want, asshole?" And he goes, "Nothing." He goes, "What? You're just going to walk away?" And he went, "Yeah." He just walked. That's how good it is. It's just crap. So basically, head on the frisbee thing, he gets in a spaceship and decides to make a run for it. Brick Bardo goes after him and they end up going through a wormhole and they crash land on Earth. But the thing is, on Dollman's planet, he's 6'2". On Earth, he's 13 inches tall. And the strap line of the film is Dollman, 13 inches with an attitude. So in typical crap movie fashion, he ends up in a really bad part of New York. And bizarrely enough, this guy who's like the gang boss, and I was dead surprised. First time I saw it, I'm like looking at him and I'm thinking, God, I know that guy from somewhere. And ended up IMDb-ing it, and it's Jackie Earl Haley. Yeah.
Rorschach.
Yeah. In one
Freddy.
of his and Freddy Krueger, and the guy who was in the really bad remake of RoboCop. And there's just basically Tim Thomerson and Jackie Earl Haley. They're the main sort of stars of that movie. And it's just a pile of trash, and Dollman just goes around shooting all these guys in New York. But even though he's shrunk down to 13 inches and this Kruger blaster's a tiny, tiny gun now, right? It's still blowing these bad guys away, you know?
This sounds fucking
It is
awful.
shite.
What
It is-
drugs were they on when they came up with the script? I mean,
Yeah,
can you imagine the planning meetings?
But there's more
Yeah,
than
man,
one.
What
There's
if he
more
was
than
only
one of these
13 inches
films.
tall, man?
Yeah, 13 inches with an attitude. But there's a sequel, Dollman versus Demonic Toys, I think it is.
Oh, Jesus.
There is another one. But, you know, it's a Tim Thomerson movie. Soon as you see his name in the credits, you know it's going to be a pile of crap. But like as Vex says, it's going to be fun crap. And I'm guessing none of you have even heard of this film.
No.
You're so
No.
lucky.
How did you come
Right.
across this?
When I was
curiosity?
17, I used to live on my own. I'd left home and obviously went off doing my own thing. And Friday, Saturday nights were a trip to the local video store to rent some Mega Drive Genesis games and to rent some really crap movies. Because, you know, there were a lot of films going straight to VHS back in the day. So they'd obviously end up on the shelves in the local video stores. So that's what you do. You just go and, you know, watch these crap films, like The Arrival with Charlie Sheen. I don't know if you've seen that one. No, that is a
No,
bad film.
nope.
But moving swiftly on. So yeah, it's in the realm of, you know, you go to the video shop and it'd be like, go on, cut us a deal. We'll rent 2 Mega Drive games and a couple of videos. How much? Oh, I'll do it all for $5. So you just pick any old crap. But you'd watch it, but it'd be like you say, fun crap.
Yeah, I got you.
But I love
Entertainment,
B movies. I just
there you
love really bad movies. There's just something about them. It's like the first time I watched Chopper Chicks in Zombie Town. That was a revelation. hey, it's got a big A-lister in it. Billy Bob Thornton, one of his first films, and you can tell. Here's my second guilty pleasure: Robot Jocks. Anybody seen Robot Jocks?
No.
Oh,
This
you
looks like-
missed out.
It looks like an Asylum version of Transformers or something. You know, Asylum Pictures, the people who make the terrible remakes of shit movies.
No.
What
The
hell
trailer
is
itself is quite an eye opener.
It is. Basically, in the future, instead of nuclear wars, it's Russia versus America in these giant mecha suits. So every country has their own sort of like champion, elite champion who drives these robot jocks, and they basically battle for territory and resources. So it's a bit of a dystopian future. And I can't remember the Russian guy's name now, but he looks typical Russian, crazy-eyed, bit of an asshat. But the star of the show in this movie is Achilles, played by Gary Graham. Anybody?
I see that he was in Star
A hell of
Trek.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't watch
He was
Star
in
Trek.
Enterprise as
I'm looking this
Suval,
up here.
but he was in the TV version of Alien Nation.
Ah, right, yeah.
So he played Matt Sykes in Alien Nation. But as dystopian films go, it's not bad. It's a lot of RoboCop 2 style stop-go animation on the robots and whatnot. And they do transform at certain points. They can turn into tanks and spaceships and all that malarkey. But it basically delves into the life of Achilles, who's like the US's #1 robot jocks, right? Sorry,
Okay.
I was just reading Flav's comment in the chat. It kind of strayed me off a little bit there. And, there's a bit of, how can I put it, skullduggery going off in the US camp. And there's this fat old bloke who wears a cowboy hat. I think his name's Tex in the movie. And he looks like the gay cowboy gif. You know, the one that's up against the white wall and he's like,
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah,
know which one
he
you're
looks
talking
like
about.
him, but it turns out that he's actually a spy. And the Russians are getting intel on what's going to happen in these fights. And it basically, Achilles has to draw him out and prove the other people that have been set up are completely innocent. But there's one interesting scene where Achilles retires. He gets beat and he kind of retires, but he survives the match. So he's feeling a bit disgraced and a bit mardy. He's a bit of a mardy bum because he's had his ass handed to him, basically. And he goes to his brothers.
Okay.
And his brother is a family man and a teacher and he's quite well educated, whereas Achilles is bizarrely illiterate. He can't read or write, but his brother's a teacher. How does that work? So they sit him down to a meal to welcome him back home. And he says, "We've actually managed to get some meat to celebrate you coming back. And in this pot is a fucking hot dog. One hot dog." And that's what passes as real meat in the future. And I just thought, I'm going to turn this shit off.
Oh my goodness!
But I let it roll. It was a Friday night. White Lightning was cheap, and so was Mad Dog 2020. And I got 20 Benson and Edges. It was all good. And after playing Road Rash 2, after watching this film, you'd forgotten all about it after about 10 minutes. But it's one of those films what's turned into an actual cult classic. Yeah,
really?
There's a huge following for this movie.
Oh my word.
That's okay.
And Gary
all right.
Graham sadly passed away. Was it last year, if I remember right? And it kind of had a bit.
Yes, last
had
year.
a bit of a resurgence back, and people started watching it again, and there was chatter about it on X. And I thought that was really good. Because Gary Graham was never quite the star of the show. He was always he was on the cusp of being bigger than what he actually was. And it didn't play out for him, but he ended up being a good character actor.
I'll tell you what, I know I have heard of this film, and I'll tell you exactly when I heard of it, when the trailer for Pacific Rim came out.
Really?
I'm reading that
when
right
Pacific
now.
Rim
yes.
came out, I swear this suddenly gained a little bit of popularity.
Similarities. Yeah.
The similarities, yeah. I'm looking at a quote here. Bloomberg Business Week noted that Pacific Rim was, quote, a mashup of the 1980s B movie Robo Jocks and Godzilla on steroids, end quote.
Fair enough.
on steroids. What's the matter? Steroids
And
make
it also,
you deaf?
it looks like it was even played at a few Alamo draft houses in the US as well around the time, right before Pacific Rim was released. So
It is one of those obscuros. If you know, it's one of those kind of films. And for what it is, I love it. I think it's great. It's what say you watch all these modern Hollywood films, they're all crap. Let's face it. You put this on, even though it's crap, it's a breath of fresh air compared to what's coming out of Hollywood.
it's fun. It's right. It's not trying
No,
too
it's
hard
not.
to be anything else or shove something down your throat. It knows what it is,
It
and
knew it
runs
wasn't
with
going to be a masterpiece, so it just rolled with what it had. It didn't pretend to be anything bigger than what it actually is. It didn't say, "Oh, look at us, we're Star Wars," or we've got ILM, and there was none of that. You'd be lucky if you'd got PTSD instead of ILM than watching this bloody film. But that was great. Go on.
Fair play to them for going down the stop motion route rather than doing the Power Rangers stick a guy in a costume.
They actually tried to
Amazon Prime boxes.
recreate you know Rob Bottin's technique, what he used on the AT-ATs, the sort of not quite stop go, but the blur stop go even.
Yeah.
They did a lot of that because Rob Bottin set a bit of a trend after Empire Strikes Back. So a lot of people were following that technique. So I reckon it might have been some ex-ILMers or people that have worked with Rob Bottin in some capacity. And they kind of took that technique on board to do the effects.
Yeah.
I mean, the effects are quite passable.
Okay.
You know, in a cheesy way. You'd think, considering the budget, you like go, that was pretty bloody good, actually.
All right, okay. I might check this out now. I'm in the Pacific Rim, the Pacific Rim Job connection, because I really like that movie. I like the first one at least, not the second one.
And do you know something? I thought that was a fantastic 3/4 of an hour doing deep dives into all these movies. You know, thank you for sharing your guilty pleasures with us all.
There's a few movies here I'm now going to
welcome.
go and find and watch just because they sound interesting.
Swappers comes out with a good one here, just having a look in the chat. There was another giant robot movie like this around at the same time on straight to video. Crash and Burn, remember that? No, the only Crash and Burn I remember is from the movie Hackers. God, that's another good one. That is cheesy. If you think about it, Hackers was quite cheesy and it was under the radar.
It was, yep. I think it only got a resurgence because Angelina Jolie was in that one, right? Yeah, yeah. I remember it getting a resurgence when she married
Johnny Lee Miller.
Yeah, right after that movie came out, and there was this whole whirlwind because she started, scissoring chicks right after that.
How do you know these things?
Yeah.
I'm quite worried.
You know what? A few months ago, proudly, I put together a Why Angelina Jolie Sucks slideshow for another stream.
Right.
That's why.
Do you know, I've never been a real big fan. You know, everybody's like, oh, they're all drooling over Angelina Jolie. And I thought, yeah, she's pretty, but I don't know. I'm a bit funny with women that way. I like them a bit geekier, like Summer Glau. I mean, I think she's gorgeous. She's more my cup of tea, if you know what I mean.
Angelina, I think we had this chat. I had this conversation with someone in another chat, but Angelina Jolie's one of those. She's got a very pretty and unique face, but she's just too thin.
She is now.
And someone had mentioned she was born with fat girl genes, but she's anorexic.
Do you know?
So she looks terrible. Like, because even like at her height, I remember when people, oh my God, she was so hot and God in 60 Seconds and Tomb Raider and all this stuff. And I'm just like, look at those arms. Those are spaghetti arms. Like, she looks like an inflatable sex doll with no fucking meat on her. It's like,
that is kind of why teenage boys did like her, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. But she looked best when she was pregnant because she actually had some weight.
Do you
on
know,
her.
I'm the equivalent of 32 Angelina Jolies.
32 Angela.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're like the blueberry kid.
Well,
from Willy
I look
Wonka,
like Jabba the Slut, basically. I'm a big lad. If you like them big. See, that's with living in Alberta. You need to put some meat on your bones living in that territory because it's always cold in Alberta. You stay in Ontario where it's warmer.
I've been to Northern Ontario. Ain't a cup of tea during certain
Could be
times
worse.
of
Could
the
be
year.
Winnipeg. Nobody goes there.
Can I just interject, getting back
That's
to the
true.
movie? Someone mentioned Crash and Burn. I'm actually on the Wikipedia page. Crash and Burn, the 1990 American science fiction film, originally titled Robot Jocks 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Swappers put that on.
Despite not being related to the 1990 film Robot Jocks.
Really?
Cunning marketing
Yeah.
ploy there.
I know. Let's tack it onto that, even though it's fuck all to do with it. Nice.
Pretty
free
much.
marketing. The lawsuit will give us some free publicity. Anyway, let's see what moving on to now. Films, from back in the day, what would definitely not get made in the 21st century, especially the last 5 or 6 years. And our first film is Porky's. Oh, classic. And that's classic. Anybody got any thoughts on Porky's?
Haven't
What?
seen it.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of films that I just never got around to watching. I'm also like 17 years younger than you.
Well, age is just a number, and so's my weight.
Oh my. I always do like being pinned
I
down by a
will
man,
shake my
after all.
walking stick at you, you terrible youngster.
There is pinned down, and then there's asphyxiation. Take your choice.
They go one in hand, like they go hand in hand, to be honest.
You kinky bugger.
Should me and Brian just go sit in the green room whilst you two
No,
hash
no,
it out?
no, no. I'm
Okay.
a married man. I'm very unhappily married, so we're not going to go there.
He's also a bit of an exhibitionist. He just
Not
doesn't
with the
wanna
cock
say
I've
it.
got, dear.
There's a reason we don't have webcams on this stream, just to warn you.
Hey, they don't do webcams in extreme widescreen. I need a fucking IMAX camera. They don't do them. I won't be able to fit it in this room.
All of us are 3x4. Trev is 21x9. Bit of a geeky joke there.
We'll have to get once they've retired Hubble officially. I'll use that as a webcam. Might be able to actually fit me in, lads. Because Vex, I'm gonna have to bench you on this one just for a little while anyway.
That's
But
fine.
lads,
That's fine.
your thoughts on Porkies?
It was all
I think
right.
it's. Oh, on you go.
No, go,
Into
Brian.
it.
Go. You go.
I think I maybe saw this film 10 years or so after it came out, maybe on late night ITV many moons ago. It's one of these films that I just sat and kind of you cringe the whole entire way through the movie.
Really?
That kind of painful, well, for me, kind of awkward, sheltered lad at the time. That kind of teen sex comedy stuff never really sat very well with me. So I was just remember cringing over the film and just, thank Christ I'm watching this on my own sort of thing. But the one scene that did stick in my memory for many years to come was the Kim Cattrall getting all excited.
Lassie.
That was yes.
Hmm.
Why did they
We said
call
about
her
it,
Lassie?
I
In
believe
fact-
Melvin's a big fan of this film.
You know, if you pause it in just the right spot, you get to see Bush. Kim Cattrall's
No.
Bush. Yeah. When Roy pulls her, can I say knickers?
Yes, you
when
can say
he pulls the
knickers,
knickers
yes.
down, you get if you pause it just right, you get the full Bush.
No.
Yeah, we have a song about that. Not Bush City Limits. Diddle-dum-dum.
It's
me-
been nice streaming with you, Trev. So I'll just something I need to
It'll be
Google just now. Just
cancelled by next week.
Hey.
Now, I quite liked it's worth a laugh, but the entire shower scene was it's so ridiculous.
Well, that's what
Peering
makes
through a
it
hole in the
funny.
wall. I know it is, and then
That's the
tongue
whole
through,
the
and there's this,
hyperbole
like-
of it.
and then
The hyperbole of the whole situation is what makes it funny.
It is ridiculous. So it's a good. It's good. It could never be made today. Admittedly, it was a product of the 80s, and that's where it should stay. Let's be honest.
I think it's got that early VHS shock factor to it.
The video nasty where you could just get away with everything before the rules got put
I
into
wouldn't
place.
say
yeah.
it was a video nasty. I think it was borderline on an 18. It was probably an 18 back in the day, but it was very borderline in the humor department.
What with not being funny?
I don't know. I think it has its moments. There are a few bits in it I find exceedingly hilarious, but maybe that's just me. Where Miss Balbreaker's explaining to the school principal and the physical ed teachers.
I've seen it.
Yeah, and
Yep.
she's trying to describe a pecker. And they're all trying I mean, at one point, there's one guy is whether it was just how it played out in that scene, the sheer hilarity of the cast, it's real. They're not putting it on.
Yeah.
They're absolutely pissing themselves laughing uncontrollably.
Mm.
And you could see that. And even the guy who plays the principal is trying his best to not lose his shit and just crack up laughing. And the funny Star Trek coincidence as well with Porky's, remember Miss Balbreaker, the PE teacher? She was in an episode of The Next Gen.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Killed it. There we go. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It is a reflection of the like 1950s Americana. It's a slice of that original American Pie, isn't it? If you think about it, it's like a precursor for all those films. It's the granddad of American Pie, shall we say? But you know, I thought for the time, it was good. It had a niche. It had Kim Cattrall's Bush in it. And, you know, I thought that was a major selling point. I'm just thinking, Vex, any thoughts on Kim Cattrall's Bush?
I'm curious to see it. That's about it. But I think I saw her Bush in Sex in the City.
Was it
at
still
some
Disco
point as
Bush by any
well.
chance?
It was a bit furry. I don't think it was Disco Bush, but it was definitely it was that transition period between, you know, the full bare front of the early 2000s and, you know, the soft bush of the mid to early 90s.
You have to be aware that she is a Scouser. So, you know,
what is that? What's
she's
a
from
Scouser?
Liverpool.
So I don't. What does that mean about her
Well,
bush?
it's probably had more brick than a second-hand dartboard.
Oh, I mean, I that explains why she plays Samantha so well in Sex in the City. So
she boldly went where no man had been before on Star Trek 6. MC makes a good point there. Aye, look at my growler. Oh, you can't, you know, Z is there propping up the team. Well done, I like that. Proper minge. It's after 9 o'clock. We can say that now, can't we? Manum's made quite an interesting comment, and I'm not going to put that on screen, but yes, quite possibly. I think she might have been. And I think you need to be in Hollywood at that time to get on as a woman. Although I thought she was quite good in Police Academy, which bizarrely brings me to Police Academy.
Hey.
Oh, bizarrely, yes. I like this movie a lot.
Oh, what a film. This would definitely not get made. And
No,
Brian, I'm a
not
little
even
bit
close.
disappointed.
Why is that?
I've kind of let the side down. I should have gone, let's have a look at the next slide when I put this one on. What are your thoughts on Police Academy, guys? Made in Canada as well.
Are we talking about the first one or the entire run of 6?
No.
Just the first one.
Just this.
When it was good.
The rest shouldn't have been made because they were crap.
That's very true. But I liked Police Academy. I don't know about not being made today. I think you could. A couple of tweaks to the script maybe, but the characters are certainly diverse and interesting, and the story was, you know, it's a great sort of like growing into yourself sort of story. So it's a great movie. I think you could still make it today.
Really?
I think you could.
I don't think you get away with the Blue Oyster Bar scenes.
Maybe, like I said, a couple of maybe little alterations, but I think they could get away with it.
Do you know the Sword in the Storm says, can't believe they made a cartoon of this. Yes, they did make a cartoon.
God.
They made a cartoon of Police Academy.
Yeah, but they made cartoons of everything. There's even a kid's cartoon of Alien out there somewhere.
No. That's Operation Aliens. It never got released.
They released the toy line for the cartoon series.
They did release the toy line.
I had some of those.
There are screenshots online of Operation Aliens, and it looks fantastic.
It was going to be a Saturday morning cartoon for kids. Oh yeah,
with face huggers and everything, and chest bursters.
Yep.
They did have a RoboCop as well, didn't they?
Yeah, just
they did that as well.
Yeah.
Most violent films ever committed to celluloid.
There was a RoboCop cartoon. In fact, funnily enough, another Canadian connection. RoboCop was a big thing in Canada, so much so that they bought the rights to RoboCop, and all the TV spin-offs and the other movies were all made in Toronto, which is where Police Academy was made. So somewhere in Toronto is the original Blue Oyster Bar.
I think it's still open, actually. Hold on, let me look it up.
Brian, you're awfully quiet, sir.
Yes. Well, I must have watched this about 100 times back in the video. It's one of these early ones for the VHS when we got it. I was always renting it, but try not to let your parents see I've actually rented this film. But my favourite character was Michael Winslow's. I love, because as someone who, probably yourself, Trev, that spent most of their early days making stupid noises and impressions and stuff, Michael Winslow was just absolute gold for us.
He was as Jones, Officer Jones, wasn't he, in that?
Yeah.
And that iconic scene when he first meets Mahoney, and what are you in here for? And he pulls that little microphone out of his pocket and he starts going... and they're going, God damn it, Jones!
Yeah, it's brilliant.
So the Blue Oyster Bar it's called the Silver Dollar Room in Toronto, and it still is open. It's a music venue, though. I've actually been here. I'm looking at the map, and I've actually been here.
There weren't any quarters glued to the floor, were they?
I don't recall that. This was during a time where I was drinking a lot. So.
As you do in bars.
Yeah, in your youth.
Did that come on the jukebox? El Bimbo by Paul Muriat. That's the name of the song, you know, the da-da-da-da-da-da. And the thing is, with the rest of the franchise, they overplayed the Blue Oyster Bar in the rest of the films. It became like the running joke.
Yeah.
And you knew what was going to happen in certain points just by, you know, they sort of hinted at it, and you could smell the Vaseline.
Was the first Police Academy the one where Lassard got a blowjob?
Yes, from a hooker.
That's right. It's hiding underneath the lectern. That was
doing that presentation. That's when he goes, "Let's have a look at the next slide. Let's break for lunch and perhaps a cigarette." And then Mahoney sticks his head out, and Lassard's looking at him. He goes, "Great speech," and he gives him the okay sign. And then, like somebody put in the chat, he did a bad thing. Mahoney did. What did he do? And he can't explain to Harris exactly what he's done. But it wasn't him. It was the old hooker.
Oh, man.
Because they'd set Leslie Barber up, didn't they, to fail by putting a hooker in his room when it was inspection time.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, MC's got it. Mahoney's done a bad thing. Again. There you go, MC. Thank you for that. And
you wonder...
I didn't watch any of the sequels for Police, where it was like even 2 or
7,
3
I think, altogether, wasn't there? Was Moscow the last one?
7, 1994. Yeah.
Was it Miami Beach, Operation Miami, the last one?
No, that was 6, I think. I think Moscow was 7.
Moscow was 7.
That was the one with the computer game that took over the world or something.
That's right. It was like a Tetris thing, wasn't it?
It was just called The Game, if I remember. It was, it was pointless. It was really bad.
The last decent one was it 3? The last one Steve Guttenberg was in?
Oh yeah, and then he got replaced by
the guy who
was just Nick. He was just a pretty face and quite generic.
He was the guy who was in Next Gen, who was a quarter Betazoid, and they were bargaining for the Barzan wormhole, and he was working on behalf of the Ferengi or something. He played like a telepath. With him being quarter Betazoid, that was one of the things he was in, and then he became the new Mahoney. But it was I don't know. It was lechy. It was a bit weird.
Yeah,
it didn't have that charisma Steve Guttenberg had got.
Yeah,
interesting.
So it kind of went downhill after that. But the thing I remember the most with the third one was it Citizens on Patrol. The third one, or was that 4? I think 3 was Citizens on Patrol, wasn't it? Because they have that big balloon chase at the end. You know, the ridiculous chases at the end. And Mr. Zed and Sweet Chuck end up in a biplane, and then they parachute out and they do a landing. And
that's right.
Mr. Zed's like there, and his helmet's on back to front, and Zed goes, "You look a little bit like Tom Cruise in Top Gun." And then Sweet Chuck tries to kill him. It's just that whole, you look a bit like Tom Cruise in Top Gun. I proper snotted at that.
Yeah, that was the fourth one, 1987.
Oh, that was the
That's
fourth
right,
one,
yeah.
was it? What was the third one then?
Third one was Back in Training.
Right, and
No
yeah.
idea.
I don't know. I thought that was the third one. So it must have been the fourth one when Steve Guttenberg thought, I'm going to get pigeonholed with this shit for the rest of my life. I need to get out now.
I must
did-
admit, I did like the
Alright.
fourth one.
How did Short Circuit work out for you, Steve? Eh? Beautiful Stephanie. That's the line of the film, isn't it? But there's a lot. Just going back onto Police Academy, you've got the whole sexual aspect there. I mean, you've got one guy who's pretending to be Hispanic, so purely he could get laid. You've got Leslie Easterbrook. That's her name, isn't it? Who plays Callahan, and she's the whole tits and glasses, basically, isn't she? She's like got the cop glasses on.
Oh yeah, she takes charge, and suddenly the Latino man suddenly can't do it anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, my name's George, and I've just met a really nice woman.
Then he finds out she doesn't let him out until she's finished.
That's right. Yeah.
And you've got the whole racism bit as well involved in that. There's quite a few racist moments in that movie, especially when Hooks runs over. Is it Blanks? Oh, there's the two arseholes. You get the obligatory arseholes that Harris has latched onto.
Yeah.
Copeland and Blanks. That's it. And she runs over the guy's feet when they're doing the police car training, and he comes out with a racist jibe. So Hightower steps in to protect Hooks, and he tips the car over, and that's when Hightower gets chucked out. But it pays dividends in the end, doesn't it?
Mm.
And the one person I've not mentioned in all this is Fackler. What a character! You remember him, the really clumsy guy? He didn't have to do anything, but you'd end up in A&E.
He was the really short, polite one with the glasses.
No, that's Sweet Chuck, I think
that
you're
Sweet
thinking
Chuck?
of. You're thinking of Sweet Chuck. He's a shop owner in this movie. Or is it the second one? I think he's not in it till the second one, isn't he? Because that's when Mr. Z comes into it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So-
He's the one riding the bike at the beginning, holding up all the cars, isn't he? Or is that Sweet Chuck as well? Oh my god! There's so many characters.
No,
I'm losing track.
Fackler's the one where his wife says, "You're not going to that police academy. You're going to stop at home because you're such a putz. You're going to probably kill everybody." And then she's like running around through people's backyards and jumping over fences and stuff. And then she ends up hanging onto his wiper blades on his bonnet, and she's on his bonnet. And he pulls in and then like brakes, and she goes flying off. I'm sure it's that at the beginning, because they play on that in the other one, the Back in Training, because his wife joins up, doesn't she?
That's right. He's in the second one, and then she comes in the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the roles are reversed. I think he ends up on the bonnet, doesn't he? And then she's driving like crazy. Because there's a bit where we're introduced to Kim Cattrall's character. She's in the back of a limo, and then Fackler's driving past with his missus on a bonnet on the motorway, which I thought was a really good scene.
Amazing.
And then you've got your MAGA hat man, Tackleberry with the guns and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's that whole thing about him too. So there's a good slice of America at that particular point in the 80s.
There was a guy. Sorry,
Go on.
Nico.
Go on.
There was a guy I used to work with many moons ago. He was the absolute spitting image of Tackleberry. It was like a mini Tackleberry, and everybody called him Tackleberry. He was like, you used to be able to get your PlayStation chip for like 20 quid and get fucking fake games and all that. But just bringing that back there, just wonder how many people in the 80s ended up with nicknames just purely on the back of this film.
It's always good, isn't it, when you have somebody in the workplace who looks like somebody from a movie, and you can exploit that just for having a good laugh. You've got to have a laugh, haven't you?
You have.
In any situation. Because
Yeah.
I'd love to work in a place where we've got somebody who looked like Mr. Zed and Sweet Chuck. That would be hours of endless fun.
Yeah.
That'd be like Play-Doh for the brain, wouldn't it? And not many characters reoccurred after that. They didn't really expand on Kim Cattrall's role in that movie. They just seemed to cherry pick the best characters, didn't they, out of the first one? Obviously, Michael Winslow was there for life with the whole Bruce Lee bit. You got your Tackleberry. You've got Callahan, Hooks, Hightower,
Lassard.
Mahoney, Harris every now and again. And that was pretty much it out of the first movie.
And then for some reason, didn't they have a rival police academy in one of the movies?
Yeah.
Where they wore a different uniform and they all pretended to be really tough. And then when stuff happened, they all sort of like fainted because they weren't actually trained very well. It was something ridiculous like that.
that was Mauser, wasn't it? He was the other version of Captain Harris.
Yeah.
Because you got G.W. Bailey. Although he was only 30-odd, he looked 50-odd. And he just, in every movie, it's asshole. That's all he did. It was just a little grey-haired old bloke just calling everybody an asshole. And he did the same bit in Short Circuit. And he was in another film with Kim Cattrall as well. Mannequin with, not Martin Short. What's the other guy?
Andrew McCarthy.
That's it, Andrew McCarthy. And he basically did the same bit as the security guard. Wasn't Spader in that as well?
Spader, was he?
Yeah, in Mannequin. He was the blonde-haired asshole guy who went to the other shop. Sure.
The minute I think about Andrew McCarthy, I just think about Weekend at Bernie's.
Oh God.
Oh, I love
that. That could have been in the guilty pleasures quite easily. And yet, it falls into this category. That is another film that just wouldn't get made these days.
Yeah. Pointless fact on this one, just to finish off with, Bruce Willis auditioned for the role of Mahoney.
Really?
Yep, just reading up on this.
I would have liked to see that, actually. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I don't know.
Producers considered Michael Keaton and Tom Hanks, and Bruce Willis actually auditioned before it went to Guttenberg.
Really?
That's so cool.
Wow.
And the only thing Steve Guttenberg had been in before this was The Day After.
Huh.
What a movie. I didn't rate much to his hair in that film. It was a bit thin on top, wasn't he? After about 2 days. That is a shite film. That could not be a guilty pleasure, because that just reminds me of Threads. That era of movies when everybody was like, "Oh, World War III," ooh,
Yeah.
you know, and we were sort of constantly living. I think that's why Gen Xers, we are the way we are, and millennials will never understand that, because we grew up with that background fear that it could be over any minute.
That's okay.
There were a load of movies about it was either World War III, Earth devastation, and then we went through a phase of asteroids and things hitting the Earth, and it then evolved through sort of like zombie movies and dinosaurs, and it's just
Actually, there was an asteroid movie in the 70s that you've just reminded me of. Yes, was it called Meteorite or Meteor? With Sean Connery.
Oh my God!
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
No.
Sean Connery was in an apocalypse type movie with a meteor, where they got together with the Russians to blow it up, and it ended up being fragments and basically standard fare. It was like, like you were saying, you got all these movies coming out where they were all the same theme. And it was about 96, 97 where you got Deep Impact and Armageddon, and hardly anybody went to see Deep Impact because it was shite. And everybody went to see the Michael Bay action-packed, hero-fueled cinematic experience that was Armageddon, which I think, for all its cheese and Hollywood brilliance, it's camp. It's pretty camp in places.
Training oil diggers to be astronauts, because that was easier. And then with was it Aerosmith doing the music? Don't want to miss a thing. It was
because Liv Tyler was in it, wasn't she? She was Ben Affleck's love interest.
That's right.
And she was
She
Bruce
was,
Willis's
yep.
daughter in that particular movie.
Don't want to miss a thing.
Oh,
She's
God.
another Hollywood actress that I think is completely overrated. I wouldn't
Agreed.
bone it.
No.
She was in Lord of the Rings.
She's kind of built like a but she's built like a stocky tree almost.
She kind of looks like Trailer Park Fare, to be fair.
Have you seen One Night at McCool's,
Oh.
Trev?
I have seen it, but years. It's in there somewhere. It's in the back of my mind.
Would that not change your mind on Liv Tyler? Because it certainly did change my mind on Liv Tyler.
What's this movie called again?
One Night at
McCool's.
McCool's. It's a pretty terrible
One
film.
Night.
It
is
basically
bad.
does the Rashomon thing the whole way through, and there's one funny scene, and it's the last scene. It's actually really pretty funny at the end.
Okay, hold on. I'm just gonna look at pictures of Liv Tyler
I
in this.
think you may have to
movie. How
go
about
for the
that?
full
Okay, let's-
MP4 to get the full effect. To be quite honest.
Oh, hold on. Okay. My opinion is changing quite quickly. Oh my.
Welcome to Vex
I'm-
Cracks
Oh
One
my.
Off.
I'm beginning to think that you are quite partial to the old rug.
Chipper.
You like the rug at times, perhaps.
Oh, okay. Let me explain this.
Mhm.
Okay. I can appreciate a woman's beauty, but never in my life I would rather hang myself off of the tallest tree than ever date or have sex with a woman, because women are so absolutely maddeningly frustrating in every single way
Wow,
possible.
a woman explaining a man's perspective on a woman. That is refreshing. I like that. A woman that understands women. I like it.
Did she just woman-splain that to us?
Yeah.
Oh,
I did,
I'm
yes.
offended.
She did it in a mansplainy way, though.
Suppose you can get
Oh,
away
I'm
with that.
seeing this like dominatrix outfit.
Did
that
you
she's in
did
as
you
well, and
part
that's-
your legs in that patronising manner that men do?
What's it
Manspreading.
called again? When you,
Manspreading, yeah.
yeah, I did man spread that
Why
entire
not?
time.
You
Yeah.
might as well go the whole hog. If you're going to do it properly. Don't hold back. Do you know, we've gone off on a fantastic tangent. We were talking about Police Academy, and we've gone round the moons of what Nebulos and round Perdition's flame, so to speak.
Mhm. You know what? I kind of want to watch One Night at McCool's right now. I'm not gonna lie. All of these pictures. Are
Well,
doing
you
a lot
could
for me.
sail the high seas. I'm sure if you did a bit of investigation, you might be able to get it on a hard drive near you.
It wouldn't be. I'm just this one, like, she's got this. You know what? Hold on. Let me put the link in the chat. How about that? And you can pull it up. But there's this one photo here that's just really doing it for me.
All right,
you
let
go.
me see if I can. Oh, yeah, that's not bad. Let me screen share that. If this is the picture that's interesting you, so are you ready? Here we go. There we go.
And I've got some gifts for you
Ooh,
as well.
this
Here, I'll
is-
put this
there you
in
go.
the,
That's
Just-
there
that's
you
what's
go.
Just
tickling your
wait till you
fancy.
see what she does with those beer bottles. That's all I'm saying.
Oh no! No!
Put a towel down, Vex.
I don't want to see a chick fucking opening bottles with her cooter. No. Oh. Okay, I sent you something even better in the chat.
Well,
there.
put it in the chat, in the other chat, because
It's there. It's in the
I am
private
completely
chat.
crap at manipulating all these images at present.
Okay, how about this? Let me share
on,
my
then.
screen. How about that? Okay. Let's see.
There we go.
Present. Does that show on your end?
There you go. Oh
you
my
go.
goodness.
Okay.
I say.
Control zoom in.
Scroll,
on, how do
or
I-
scroll it down. There are 3. Not that I've looked.
Oh. Okay.
I say. This is really rather rum.
It's I like this. I like this. Liv
Yeah.
Tyler, my
I
perspective
do
has
remember
changed.
this film now.
I remember this 30 seconds on repeat.
Oh, that was damn good. I'm not doing the old Predator impression. I got in trouble for that last time.
Really, that was one of the best
swiftly
clips I
on.
ever made. Oh man.
Hey, well done to you. And this is our third and final film of films that wouldn't get made nowadays because Hollywood has turned into a big pussy factory. So, thoughts on Blazing Saddles, lads and lasses?
I love this movie. It's so good.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite comedies of all time, Blazing Saddles. I love this movie. Love
Do you know,
it.
it's the only American film where I've heard the word twat. Yeah.
Really?
Tonic twat. When when Hedley Lamar loses his shit with the German lady. I love that bit.
Played by Madeline Kahn. She's done some amazing roles.
Do you know the guy who does Hedley Lamar? He is absolutely fantastic. It's like he was made for that role.
Yes. It's again, it's a Mel Brooks. The writing is absolutely on point. The jokes are of their time and of the era that it's set in, and it works as a movie. It really does.
I like honestly even just watching because we did this last year was like the 50th anniversary of this movie. So I remember we reviewed it. Honestly, the dialogue and the jokes still hold up in 2020s, 2022 or 2025. Not gonna lie. I quite enjoy calling Black people the N-word with an ER at the end. So I love this movie. This movie is it's a perfect. I think this is Mel Brooks' probably best movie that I've
Better
seen.
than
of his,
Spaceballs.
in all honesty.
You take that back.
Like Spaceballs is good, and I say that as a non-Star Wars fan, but I don't think it tops this. This is the top of the tier for Mel Brooks, in my opinion. Yeah,
it's groundbreaking too, in more ways than one. I mean, it laughs at racism, but in the right way.
Yeah, and it doesn't try to be malicious with any of the humor it pokes either. Because like a lot of the time now, when you get like those black comedy films or whatever,
no pun intended,
it's always in a mean. Yeah, no pun intended. But it's always in a mean way that they poke fun at like white people or Asians or something. But this is just like you can tell even what's his face, the black actor.
Is it Cleavon Little?
Yes, that's it.
Yes. Like you can even tell that he's having a good time with it, and he's as black as the night sky is.
You can tell he's definitely having fun in this one.
Oh yeah,
it's like they all are. You know, you've got Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little, and you've got Slim Pickens, and oh god, I can't remember the name of the guy who plays Hedley Lamar. Somebody please rescue me.
Harvey Korman.
Right. Well, it's Harvey Korman then.
He appeared in the Star Wars Holiday Special. How could you forget?
Because the Star Wars Holiday Special. There is no Star Wars Holiday Special. That was very quickly deleted out of my memory.
Well, Wayfarer's had to sit and watch it, so he's probably going to remind us all about it.
Oh God, poor man. I do. I feel sorry for you. I had to sit through Caravan of Courage. That was bad enough.
I have to ask. I have to ask because I think Star Wars is gay. What is the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Right, the Star Wars Holiday Special is so bad. It's
not even good.
It's one of those ones that it was set in between two of the movies, but you could tell Carrie Fisher was off her face on cocaine whilst she was doing her bits.
Oh, okay.
Was it Mark Hamill had an accident, and he was in tons of makeup. He looked like a Ken doll.
Oh my goodness.
You didn't see any of the characters. You just followed the family of Wookiees.
Yeah, it was family.
Like, so the dialogue consisted entirely of and there's a scene where the granddad gets a machine that effectively just VRs him some porn. And that's not even a euphemism. That is exactly, it's whip, whip, stir, stir, whip, whip, stir from a 3 had it's got B. Arthur in it, Harvey Korman. I'm trying to remember the other people. It's so bad. It etches itself onto your memory, and it finishes with Carrie Fisher singing and them all walking through space into a giant star beam, wearing red
What?
curtains.
Has to be seen to be believed. I believe George Lucas said that he would happily destroy every single copy if he could get his hands on them.
Yes, and now it's out there, and the whole world has seen it, and he has no choice now.
And you're a bastard for completely describing it in such absolute detail that you brought back so many bad memories for me. Thank you.
Listen, I have to suffer it. Everybody else has to suffer it. And yes,
knob.
Wayfarer, Scratchy and Lumpy carry the whole thing. It's like one of them is a kid, and he's an annoying little shit, and the other one's just old.
Well, you make a very valid point about Carrie Fisher, because you could tell she were coked off her tits
She was.
royally. And I'm sure if you look closely at Han Solo, I'm sure he's battered. He's caned.
Oh, you can tell in his bit he must have been drunk. It's all like, yeah, don't worry,
He wasn't
we'll get you home
drunk.
for life.
I think he'd had a he'd had a cigarette, a special cigarette, one with herbs and spices in it that were
blend of 11 special herbs and spices.
made him very hungry between takes.
He was a story, but
I bet you any money he was absolutely glued to the craft services table.
Getting some Pringles.
do you remember the story about, was it one of the members of Sister Sledge or someone who went to see Star Wars for the very first time? And Harrison Ford was apparently doing a bit of pot dealing back in the day.
Really?
And she didn't know that he was an actor, and she's sitting there watching Star Wars. She goes, "That's my pot dealer. My pot dealer's on the screen." I realised it was fucking.
Oh, of course, yeah, because he wasn't actually a actor or anything. He was sort of like a carpenter, and
He was a
lucked out
chippy,
in the role.
He was an actor, but
but
he'd
mini
been
bit part
employed for
doing
other,
anything,
other
yeah.
reasons previously on other films. And someone in the chat can correct me about that. But I think, was it someone from Sister Sledge? It was someone famous. Anyway.
This shows you how clever Harrison Ford was. He became the celebrity carpenter to the stars. And the reason he did that is so he could keep his ear to the ground about getting gigs and going to auditions. And, you know, he'd worked with George Lucas before, and he was doing Francis Ford Coppola's Front Door or something, and George Lucas had turned up. And then George went, "Oh, can you come and help people read for these parts at auditions?" And it was like, "Yeah, okay."
That's the story I heard. He was just invited to read the part of Han Solo for all the people who were auditioning for Luke Skywalker. And
Kurt Russell
Lucas
thought he was going to get it, didn't he?
Yeah, and Lucas just went, well, actually, he can just read the part of Han Solo really well, so we'll just give him the job.
Can you imagine that if Kurt Russell had got the part of Han Solo? Relax, it's all in the reflexes.
I did hear somewhere that Richard Dreyfuss applied for C-3PO.
Oh, good God, can you imagine that? It was bad enough in Close Encounters.
Man, so many legends behind Star Wars. It's amazing how it turned out so well.
Yeah, and you've set me off on a tangent now, because what's the connection between Aliens and Close Encounters of the Third Kind? And you can't say aliens.
Damn it.
I don't know.
Lance
What is it?
Henriksen, who was Bishop in Aliens, he was in the last bit. You know, when they're the other side of Devil's Seat Mountain and they're doing that do 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 do, they're giving it all that. He's in those scenes. Not quite sure who he plays, but a young Lance Henriksen in Close Encounters.
Interesting.
Very cool.
Yes. Another boring pub fact later. I'm no good in an emergency, but I'm bang on in a pub quiz. Do you have pub quizzes in Canada?
Oh yeah, you can go to the bars and they'll host weekly ones in some areas. I just live in the middle of nowhere, so I have no social life outside
Blue
of
Oyster
this.
bars available.
I hate going to Toronto. I'm not gonna lie. Post lockdowns, it's just a bunch of disgusting little brown people that smell like they took a shit in their diapers. And if it's not that, then it's a bunch of people who are hopped up on cocaine. And if it's not that, then it's a bunch of people who are perpetually depressed and over medicating themselves to the point where they don't even understand what the phrase "thank you" means or "please."
Well, you'd think Canadians would be celebrating now Fidel Jr.'s resigned.
He's resigned, but he's still in power, and he still gets to make decisions until a new representative is chosen from the Liberal Party.
I thought it was going to be that other guy.
Yeah.
Is it Polly Grip or?
Oh no, he's the Conservative
right.
Party, but that would be. I mean, if I can briefly explain it to you, if you'd
it's
like.
politics. It can fuck right off.
Okay. All right.
You've got to admit, though, you know, he is Trudeau. I mean, the spitting image of Fidel Castro.
He is 100%.
And I
100%.
think there is some truth to it. I think his mum might have been getting accused.
Oh, it's well known that she was spreading her legs to everyone she could except for her husband.
Yeah, but did you see his dad? I remember he was prime minister when I was a kid and I lived in Canada. And it's you know, his son did a worse job than he did. But when, like I say, not going to go down the political route.
No, we aren't. But in the chat, yes, I am the brown face.
Nice.
Of white supremacy. Thank you.
I know nothing about Justin Trudeau except his name sounds like someone from Croydon telling you that they're not lying. Trudeau,
Well,
Trudeau, innit?
He is one of Klaus Schwab's little minions. Yeah.
Yep. Hold on, we're going down the politics hole.
I've got to do this because Swap is in the chat. But he's a WEF fanboy. So you know,
so is Polly.
Really?
By the way.
I did not know that.
Oh, it's a uniparty in Canada. Everyone nothing will change if a Conservative Party gets elected. Absolutely nothing.
Same rapper, different rapper, same shit. Like
exactly.
It is here.
It's like essentially. Yeah, we have more or less the same system as you guys.
Right, to say it was going to be a 90-minute show this week, we've gone over that mark, so we might as well go for 2 hours. What do you say, guys?
Bring it on.
I'm fine with that.
I don't want your dinner going to a crisp, Vex.
Oh, it's totally fine. The oven will ding when it's done. So you're good.
Right. So we can. Anything nice? What have you done? Anything in particular?
I do all of my meal prep every couple of weeks, and I'll sometimes freeze it. So I meal prepped some turkey burgers that I defrosted.
So it's not craft dinner.
And it's not craft dinner. No. So I've got that and some salad.
Salad? What the fuck is that?
Salad.
What is that? I've never heard of salad.
Yeah. Oh, it's basically leaves. But they're different colors than leaves. That's all. And sometimes you can put this white creamy stuff.
Creamy stuff on it. I'm not going to fucking ask what you're on about now because
it's simple. Vex is there with her breast and thighs, and she wants the white creamy stuff on her leaves. It's
mayo or salad cream.
I mean, it's your pick. They're both good.
Nice. I'll go for the salad cream.
Bit salty.
Speak for yourself. I wouldn't know. So, Blazing Saddles, we've gone right off the mark here.
Where was I?
Yes.
But you'll never find a better example of how you deal with racism in a society.
Agreed.
It's outdated now because think about it. Racism's been turned around into a tool to use against everybody.
I wouldn't say this is outdated at all because most sane people recognize it for what it is, right? It's just otherwise in news and Hollywood, it's a different story. But for 80%, 90% of us, I wouldn't say this is outdated at all.
Do you know, I think the best way to deal with racism is to laugh at it and not be a victim of it and not play the victim.
Same with any tragedy, any sort of, Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you.
Everybody, I find the people who get offended aren't the people who it's aimed at. It's people who are being offended on behalf of the people it's aimed at. They're the ones that really annoy me.
Yep.
Like these people will end up on these focus groups. Where did they pick? Did they purposely go out and go, right, that person's a proper arsehole. I know. We'll get them on this panel and run things by them and see what they think.
Good night, Storm. See you next week.
Good night,
Night,
Storm
mate.
in the Storm.
Sorry, I'm having trouble focusing. I'm on that many tangents tonight. I feel like a bloody maths teacher.
We need a tangent counter.
Yeah, I do go off on the tangents. We all know that, but sometimes the rabbit holes we go down. I'm not quite Swappers level, but we do it in a fun way, not in a tinfoil hat. I've got one of Swappers' tinfoil hats, by the way, on standby, just in case.
Indeed.
I've wrapped my phone up in tinfoil just for tonight, you know, the Faraday cage thing. But yeah, Blazing Saddles, I've got to admit, I love Slim Pickens in this movie. He plays his role fantastically well as like the typical overly inept henchman who's actually quite smart and goes, hang on a minute, whoa, hang on. And he sort of sees the joke for what it is, but reacts in a way that's counter, if you know what I mean.
No, not really.
Use my pretty and a 20 or whore.
Yeah, it's sort of like, it's almost like he wants to do a fourth wall break.
Yeah.
In places. It's like Hedley Lamar will say something and it'll be sort of like over the top ridiculous, probably racist or, you know, something that would be considered overly offensive now. And he's sort of like, he wants to look at the camera like to say, what the fuck?
The bit where he wants to put out an advert, Taggart, write this down, and he just goes through this entire list of people he wants, and it's every offensive word you can think of. Slim Pickens is spending the entire time just trying to find a pen. Gets to the end, and he gets his paper, just goes, "Can you repeat that?" It's brilliant. It's great writing, and it's great casting, great writing, done so well. Mel Brooks was a genius, and he got away with so much.
Yeah, well, don't forget, didn't Gene Wilder have some input on the writing on this as well?
I think he did, yes.
Because they had a bit of a tiff. Him and Mel Brooks had a bit of a falling out during the early days of the production. And it was over a couple of jokes. And I think Mel Brooks relented when he realised he didn't quite grasp what the irony in the joke that Gene Wilder was trying to get across. It was a bit, perhaps a bit too highbrow.
Did you know Hedy Lamarr actually sued?
Yes.
Yeah. Hedy Lamarr sued him, didn't she? So and if memory serves, Mel Brooks actually just settled out of court saying, "Thank you for letting us almost use your name, and sorry you didn't get the joke."
Well, she did invent Wi-Fi, so cut her a break.
She did, yes. Very, very talented.
She was a very smart mathematician for a time. Yeah,
really?
She was like deep, heavy, sort of like Einstein level mathematics. Like I just said, she invented the principle that created Wi-Fi.
Interesting.
I don't blame her for suing. More power to her. She was worth a barrel back in the day. I'll give her that much. Not so much these days. She's lost a lot of weight, bless her. She probably needs a Greg's sausage roll just to fatten her up a tiny bit. What?
Oh my.
Have you never had a Greg's in you?
Not that I can note. Does it stuff you
the
real
stuffing's
well?
fantastic. I like it.
Nice
I love
sausages.
getting a Greg's in me.
You've got to be careful the gravy doesn't run down.
Why? What are you getting gravy on?
Steak bake.
Oh yeah.
You see?
Yeah, I thought you might have been drifting into Toby Carvery territory there.
Only on a Sunday. You get 2 for 1.
Oh no, it's dearer on a Sunday. You're better off going in the week. Wednesday or Thursday is your best day to go for a Toby Carvery. As a professional fat bastard, I know these things, trust me.
Fair enough.
NC says they've gone up. I don't know whether he's referring to Greg's or he's referring to the carveries. I like a nice carvery where I don't have to cook. I hate cooking.
I love
you?
cooking, but it's in my blood though. So there you go.
Nobody likes my cooking. I love very spicy, very fiery food. In fact, somebody once quoted my cooking style as evil bastard.
Honestly, I'm amazed I can cook at all. I come from a family. My younger sister burnt water in a pot on the stove before now. That is not. I've set fire to a salad. I am that bad.
What?
Really long story.
How the fuck do you set fire to salad?
Okay, let me give you it in a nutshell. It was in secondary school, and it was this whole thing about making, home economics, and didn't give two flying fucks about it. But there's this whole thing about making healthy foods. It's all like, right, I'll make a salad, bacon and fruit and stuff on leaves, nice vinaigrette, oil, and sliced grapes and stuff. And I realized I hadn't cooked the bacon. It's all like, screw it, I'll just stick it all in the microwave, and that'll cook the bacon. Hopefully won't make the leaves wilt. Do you know what happens if you don't cut a grape entirely? You leave a bit of skin attached and you put it in a microwave.
Does it explode?
It makes no.
Why are you putting grapes in a
it was in the
microwave?
salad.
First of all,
grapes in a salad.
why are you putting salad in a
To cook
microwave?
the bacon, because it was all in small bits and I couldn't be bothered to take it out.
Hold on.
Listen,
making
I
this
was 14 at the
serious.
time. But if you don't separate a grape and it's held on by a thin piece of skin, it creates superheated plasma, this bright blue ball, and I think it was just the oil that was on the leaves. It caught fire.
You've got blue balls. Jesus.
Seriously, I set fire to a salad in a microwave. It is it's so unhinged.
I bet you boil a mean toast. Remind me never to come round to yours for any scran.
Oh,
Good God, man.
It's so ridiculous. I laugh about it now.
Oh, jeebus.
Anyway, Blazing Saddles. Sorry, Hedy Lamarr actually also invented a tablet that you could dissolve in water to make a flavored carbonated drink. There you
Clever
go.
lass. Clever lass.
She was very clever. And we're back in the room. Carry on, Trev.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. I'm still wrapping my head
Yeah.
around microwaving a salad.
You've kind of fucked my brain up now.
It was to cook the bacon.
The fuck?
That still doesn't make sense. That still doesn't justify.
Well, I know that now.
Jesus. Sounds like you make pot noodles scared. Kind of fancy a pot noodle, Bri. I don't know about you.
Do you eat the wrappers on like granola bars as well?
Are you not
like, do
supposed
you
to
think
eat
that's
them?
just?
No. Not when you've cooked it. Fucking hell. Are you mates with Heston Blumenthal by any chance? That sounds like some proper sci-fi cooking shit right there.
Can I put this on a t-shirt?
You can if you
or
want.
something?
I've
Like,
burnt
this
a
is-
salad.
Jeebus. Are you on about the...
I burned a salad trying to cook the bacon bits. What? And there were grapes in there as well, which
Look, I was
What the
young.
fuck kind of
It was
salad
healthy. I threw it all in there. It's not really my fault.
Oh, my goodness. And on that note, guys, we've got 2 minutes left.
Toasty nutty base.
If you want to leave your culinary skills to one side for a moment, help desk, I'm sure we can hook you up with Vex and you can do a bit of a cookery thing. She likes to do the meal preps and you like burning things down. You know, sounds like...
Listen, it was only one house that burned down. And it was only partly my fault. I haven't told you that story yet, have I?
I hope
That was
your
on
cooking
another
skills have improved these days.
Yes, they have.
I take it by the long pause that they haven't.
I've got 2 children. They're still alive, so I must be feeding them something right.
As long as they're not malnourished, then we're all right. Do they look forward to meal times, or do they run and hide?
Actually do. No.
Well, your skills are complete.
I have an air fryer now. It takes most of the guessing away
Oh
from
my
it.
God! Right,
Oh,
thank you
okay,
to everybody in the chat, because we're going to have to wrap things up now. But Vex, a pleasure as always. You are fantastic on the stream, and it's nice to have a vagina on the channel.
Oh, you're most welcome. Anytime you need a vagina for a quick fix or a helping or anything like that, just shoot me a message. There you go. But thank you genuinely for having me.
Well,
on. This
I'm
was a
glad you
lot of fun.
enjoyed it, and I'm enthused that you would like to come back voluntarily.
Well, I mean, I like this sort of I like self-deprecation, and I like doing it in a public sphere. So this is kind of like two things that I already
Well, that's
really
jolly
enjoy.
good. Help
Yeah,
desk,
yeah.
thank you as always, sir. Your cookery skills are legendary on this channel now. The man who boiled toast.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Chat, you've been lovely, and I look forward to seeing you all again next time. Hopefully I won't have burnt off my eyebrows this time.
And
yes,
as always,
I've done that. I did that with a Christmas pudding.
Oh my God. We'll leave your cookery stories for another time. And also, as always, a big thank you to Not Brian, because he's been an absolute fantastic help behind the scenes. He's been holding me hand and nursemaiding me through these technicalities of running a stream. Without his help, tonight would not have been possible. Thank you, Brian, for all your help, matey.
Cheers, Trev. You're very welcome. And let's say a quick thank you also to Internet Help Desk, Vex, and of course the chat. Thanks, folks.
Lovely. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And I didn't say this last time, and everybody's basically giving me a hard time about it. Please like and subscribe. Oh, ring that bell. Oh, thank you ever so much. And if you would give us a like and subscribe, that would be fantastic. And I look forward to reading your comments in the comments section a little bit